Welcome to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I'm here with a special guest today, Michael Garrison. I met him through Chet Blanton, who was on the show a while back, and he set me up with Michael. And so we're going to learn all about him today and what he does. You're not really new to Oahu, are you?
No, 8 years, almost 8 years now.
Okay, but he is starting a new company, which we're going to get to hear about. So if you're a runner out there, you may be really interested in this. Michael, do you want to tell us who you are and like what you do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hi, Maile.
Hi.
I'm Michael Garrison.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. This has been awesome so far.
Yay.
I'm starting a new company called the Hawaii Running Lab. And it's going to be personal coaching, online coaching, really trying to deliver something just a little bit different here to Oahu, and the online stuff obviously will be global.
Yeah, because we have like a big running community here, but not so much. We were talking before the show, not so much like isolated for one person, or you know, just focusing on one individual at a time.
Yeah, I'm all for the group. The group structure is great, but I also want to make sure that everybody gets what they need.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
And I think we'll get more into that as the show progresses. But what is your background?
My background, I'm a collegiate cyclist and collegiate runner, competitive ultramarathoner.
And when did that start? How old were you when you started running?
I started running probably when I was 12,
wow.
right around there. But I grew up playing soccer, and I was always the kid at the soccer practice that won the lap. So, you know, I was always that one that, okay, hey, go run around the field before practice, and I'd be first. And, it got to the point that coaches would just say, okay, you go run 2.
Everybody else run 1.
Yeah.
So you were just natural.
Yeah, I've always, it's been really fun for me. I've always liked it.
Is anybody in your family a runner, or it was
No.
just? Oh, wow.
Yeah, neither one of my parents were very athletic at all. Like, my dad picked up jogging a little bit, in the velour sweatsuit kind of thing, and the late 70s kind of thing. But really, that was about it.
Okay, so then you started. Did you run in high school?
I ran in high school.
What'd you run?
I was a miler, 2-miler. Would jump in the 4x8 and the 8, depending on what the team needed.
Oh, wow, 4x8.
And then ran in junior college, ran cross country, and ran cross country at the University of California, Davis.
Oh, wow.
Raced bikes at UC Davis.
And how did you get into bikes? Is that just like, I run, and so I'm just gonna get into
While I was in
biking?
junior college, I lived upstairs from a bike shop, and I hung out with a bunch of triathletes. And I dabbled in triathlon for a little bit. I sink. I don't really swim, so triathlons were really tough.
But I hear you win in the run, right?
Yeah, well, triathlon was a little bit different in the late 80s, early 90s. So I actually could come back on a lot of people in the run. Nowadays, if I tried to do that, I would just get, just wasted, I think. I think I'd get pretty frustrated, because I don't swim very well at all.
And I heard it's like a ruckus at the beginning. Everybody jumps on top of each other.
Yeah, some of the best coaching advice I ever got when I started doing triathlons, because I'm really competitive, and I started right at the front, and I just get mopped in the swim and beat up, and my goggles kicked off my face and things like that. And I had a buddy just tell me, hey, how about you just wait 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Gun goes off, stand there for 10 seconds, count to 10. And then I just had all the water to myself, so it was fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But then I just gave everybody a big lead. I was pretty good on the bike, which is what led me to bike racing. And then, so I'd just keep picking people up on the bike and get people on the run, and then it was all done, and I was like, wow, that wasn't
that bad.
Yeah, that was okay. If I just didn't have to swim, it'd be wonderful.
So now you're concentrating more on ultras, correct?
Yes, I primarily race ultras. I jump in all the trail races here on Oahu as well, because I really like the trails. But
and why don't you explain what an ultra is? Because I know some people don't know what that is.
Got it, yeah. Ultramarathon, basically everything past a marathon. So it's everything you think it is, like the 26.2 is a marathon, everything past that. The most popular form, I guess, or distance probably be 50K.
Okay.
Like, it's really growing in popularity. 50 miles, very popular, then 100K and 100 miles are also, popular yet tougher.
And why that long distance? I know some people listening are going to be like, oh my gosh, it's so far.
It was just something new. It was new, it was exciting. It's a different challenge than running like your standard marathon. Like most marathons, I would actually compare it to high school versus college cross country.
Okay.
So in high school cross country, like every school has like a heartbreak hill, and like cross country courses are hard in high school.
Yes.
Cross country courses in college are designed to be easier, so you can run faster and not get hurt. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not this big, there's not the heartbreak hill in most college races. Like, some of them have a hill or two, but most of them are around golf courses or nicely, like, it's kind of a different experience.
Ah.
So most marathons, road marathons, are designed to be relatively easy. You know, like Boston has some hills to it. Obviously here in Honolulu, you have to go up and down over Diamond Head a couple
Yep.
times. But that's not really much of a hill.
It's not that bad.
Yeah,
And
it's
kind
over
of a
with
nice
pretty quick.
break,
Yeah.
too, after you've been running flat
Yeah.
for so long.
Yeah, because everybody's trying to chase a Boston qualifier or a PR, so that's why they signed up for these big races. Now they're smaller races, but you're still trying to run as fast as you can over that set distance. Ultras are very, just the opposite of that, really. It's all about the experience. And,
So they're
and
very
people are getting,
relaxed.
people are getting faster and faster, and they're definitely competitive, but you can't stay on pace. Like, you're not going to go in there and say, I'm just going to run 7-minute pace, because you're going to have a ton of climbs, lots of descents. There's going to be twists and turns. Your footing could be really tricky depending on where you are. All these other elements kind of come play into it. And as you get farther, say into the 100K and 100-mile distance, now you're really worried about, okay, am I eating enough? Am I drinking enough? Am I taking care of blisters? Am I taking, like, there's...
And how do you do, what does a typical run look for you? Like, is there a typical run, or when do you stop to go to the bathroom? Or?
Well, yeah, when you have to go.
Okay.
When you have to go, and when there's someplace appropriate to take care of business.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's probably the easiest.
I know Chet and I used to joke, like, this is semi-inappropriate, but I would sometimes, like, pee on myself
it
when I
happens.
would run.
You are not
especially
the
in
only one.
cross-country, because
Yeah.
you're going and you have 3 miles and
Yeah.
you're not going to stop.
Yeah,
And I
that's,
think some people don't know that, so it does happen, don't worry.
yeah, it happens way more than
Yeah.
you think it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, coached quite a few women that's just kind of been
And then you just run
normal.
to the bathroom afterwards
Yeah,
and change your shorts.
Yeah, it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not extraordinary.
Zuri's wondering, does it happen to men too? Yeah, Chet was telling me a story. He had like a bad digestive problem and actually
Those happen a lot.
had number 2 and had to go
Yep.
and strip off in the bathroom while he was biking and try to wash
Yep.
it out really quickly and get back on his bike and go.
Yep, that happens.
I hope that doesn't embarrass him. Sorry, Chet. You're like my father, my second father, so don't worry about it. So.
Yeah, it does. It's nature. It kind of happens at inappropriate times sometimes.
Yeah, it's just your body
Yeah.
going, oh my gosh,
Yeah, and it's just really, I mean, in ultras, you just have to figure out when
it's gonna happen.
and when you can go. Do you need to slow down? There's aid stations along the way.
Oh, okay.
So like here at the big race on Island is the Hurt 100, and there's aid stations every 5 to 7 miles.
Okay,
And you
so
kind of
that's not bad.
Yeah, it's very manageable.
And then for you, like, how do you hydrate or how do you eat?
The hydration part's really easy. I'm actually a taste agent for a company called Scratch Labs.
I read that. What is
Yeah,
Scratch Labs?
so Scratch Labs, super cool company started by a couple of my college buddies.
Ooh.
And it's based out of Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, Boulder
And-
always produces like the
Yeah,
best stuff.
and so, Alan and Aaron, they've done a really, really good job getting like a high quality natural product out to us. So Scratch Labs, it just started as, it was called Secret Drink Mix. So
Ooh.
Alan used to work with a bunch of professional cyclists in Europe, and this was the thing that was in everybody's bottle, regardless of what said on the sponsor. Like, everybody came to Alan to get this special
Right.
drink mix, because it's all natural, and he'd flavor it with, like, say, oranges. Well, he'd freeze dry oranges and chip it up, and that's in there. So it's
Oh,
not
that's
orange flavor.
sick.
It's
That's
like
awesome.
actual oranges or actual lemon lime or actual raspberry.
Wow.
So it's really, it's good for you. He worked a lot. When I went and got my PhD at Arkansas, Alan got his PhD at Boulder, at University of Colorado. And what he really worked on was a lot of gastric emptying issues for cyclists. Like, okay,
Ooh.
how can we get something in, get the most effective value out of it, and not have any GI distress?
Have it absorbed
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah, so that's really what he worked on, and that's where Scratch Labs came from.
So what exactly, it's like, it helps to hydrate you?
Yeah, so it's going to help hydrate you, your electrolytes, get all that in.
Okay.
Tastes great, minimal GI distress, if any. I've never had any with it. Got a lot of buddies that drink it now, and they're really, as a company, they're just exploding.
Is there like a place you can order it, or is it
You can get it at
online, or-
scratchlabs.com.
Okay.
There's also local vendors on Island. I believe Island Triathlon and Bike has it right now. A couple other places, but that's my local store. I live right down the street from there,
Oh,
so that's kind of
neat.
a easy little spot to peek
Can
on
you
in.
spell that for us, Scratch Labs?
SKRATCH
Okay.
LABS.
Okay, Scratch Labs.
Yeah.
I think Zuri may put a link up or.
Yeah, they should.
something.
They're an awesome company. They deserve the support, and everybody should try it.
So you said you have a PhD.
I do. I picked one up along the way, yes.
What is your PhD in?
My PhD is in kinesiology.
Okay, how did
So
you
I-
pick that?
It was really funny. I actually went to junior college just kind of as a very general ed kind of guy and thought I'd be a philosophy major. because I really just wanted to avoid, yeah,
Philosophy.
it's silly. For me, it was silly anyway.
Why do you think it was silly?
I just really wanted to avoid calculus.
Okay.
And so I thought,
Calculus is horrible.
yes, that's what I thought. So I just said, okay, what can I do that's remotely interesting, that I love reading, this will be fun. And I had a professor at my junior college that I took a philosophy class from, and he was just really inspirational. I was like, oh, this would be great.
That was like me in high school. I thought I
Yeah.
wanted to study the historical Jesus, and our father
Interesting.
reverend told us, Maile, you will not make any money doing that. You're very good in this class, but no. So I was like, no, I'm gonna go to college and study the historical Jesus.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but we all are there.
But we'll start, yeah.
right?
Yeah, and then I kept that major all the way to UC Davis.
Okay.
And it was my first or second quarter, I was having a meal in our dining hall, and some of the girls I hung out with were, at that point, it was called physical education.
Oh.
But they had their books, it must have been like dinner or something, and I was like, what's that? And they're like, oh yeah, this is, your intro to PE class and this, and I was like, oh, those are all the kind of stuff I just read
For fun.
for fun. Yeah, like training and coaching and things like that. I was like, you can get a degree in that? And they're like, oh yeah. Now the bummer to all that was that I spent, everything I did in junior college was avoiding math and science the best I could. I had to take a little bit of it.
Right.
And
you need some of those courses.
I
for
needed
that.
all of those courses for that. So the exercise, it turned into exercise science before I graduated Davis. The department changed names, and it's very like pre-med oriented. So tons, all your calculus, your
It
OChem,
is.
your biology, your physics, chemistry, physiology, anatomy.
We're gonna
all
take
of
a
that.
quick commercial. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, that's all right.
And we'll be right back.
Perfect.
I'm with Michael Garrison. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. This is the Empower Hour, and we'll be back in a few.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island and the ER physician. Every other Tuesday, I get to host a show here on the ThinkTech program about healthcare. We call it Healthcare in Hawaii. It's really enjoyable for me to bring other healthcare leaders from around the state to talk about our pressing issues. Hawaii has long been the health state, but we need to keep up the momentum, the inertia, and with your help and with your participation, we can come and share all of the big issues that are pressing day to day. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday, alternating weeks from 2 to 2:45.
Gosh.
You are not wearing that.
We're back live. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. This is the Empower Hour. I'm here with Michael Garrison. We're laughing just about random things right now, life, and I'm talking about his wife. She's here. She's watching in the
She's somewhere out there.
Yeah,
Maybe
she
she's
is.
listening.
shout out. Woo,
Yeah.
hey. Anyway, so we were talking about your PhD and
Yes.
how you got there, and you were saying you were trying to avoid math and
Yeah,
calculus.
yes.
And then when you got to UC Davis,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
You had to take all those courses. So I'll let you.
Yeah,
Take it
and
from
then,
there.
and I did. So it pretty much added, 3 more years to my collegiate experience.
And during that time, you were running too.
I did. I ran my first year at Davis.
Okay.
And came down with some pretty nasty IT band issues.
Oh no.
And at that point, there weren't foam rollers or nobody really massaged anything out. It was, basically take a bunch of ibuprofen and run in the pool.
Do you use foam rollers now?
I do, yes.
How crucial
Not-
is that to your training?
It's super important. It's one of those little things I need to do more of.
Me too.
I definitely ask all my athletes
to do
to
it,
get
and
one
then
and
you
take
don't
care
use
of
it
it.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's me too.
Yeah, it's getting that, the accountability piece for myself.
Yeah.
It's the coaching myself is a little bit tough sometimes.
It is.
But then, yeah, did that, raced bikes, jumped on the bike. I was pretty good at it. Heard there was a cycling team. It turned out we were really good. And it was just so different. And I
I've
had a
never
lot
heard of
fun.
like a school having a cycling team.
Most do.
Okay.
Like the collegiate championships are a pretty big deal, especially in Northern California. All the
colleges
yeah,
have.
most of the big colleges have
Wow,
them.
I never knew that.
Yeah, there's it's a full racing season. It's a blast.
Wow.
But most of my close friends to this day, I raced bikes with,
Okay.
and it was a really neat experience. And I grew to learn that I loved the people more than I loved the bike race. And the bike race was just kind of a vehicle to, be athletic and
be social a little
yeah,
bit.
be social and achieve a lot on the bike. That was really, really fun. But once I started grad school, I jumped in with a team in Arkansas, and it just wasn't nearly, I didn't have any sort of bond, and I didn't find that they were really my kind of.
So that kind of like take you away from cycling
That
a little
did.
bit?
At that point, I boxed it. Oh, I didn't box it up yet. We just boxed the bike up, but I put it away, and
Oh, wow.
and that was about it. And I started running again.
And you were coaching at that time too, right?
Yes, yeah. So I started at Arkansas in 1998.
I was 8 years old.
Yeah. Yep. Started there as a graduate assistant,
Okay.
working for Lance Harder at University of Arkansas.
And how did you decide you wanted to be a coach? Because I know some people out there want to be a coach. I always think about being a coach for volleyball, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know.
That's actually a really neat question, because something I really thought a lot about kind of coming into this, and I've had some life events happen in the last couple of weeks that helped me really think about it. And I think I always wanted to be a coach. Like when I really think about it, I think I was probably 12, 13, 14 years old, and I have a younger sister who played soccer growing up.
Okay.
And I played soccer until I was 13, 14, and they needed an assistant coach. So I jumped in
Oh, wow.
at that point to help, and it was whatever, under 12s or something like that. And that was fun. Like I was like, oh, this is great. And then I remember starting high school, and I went to a private K through 8, and then went to a really big public high school
Okay.
where I knew pretty much nobody. And we had cross country practice before school started, like a week before. And I was one of the fastest kids that came out. And so all my friends were the older kids, and I was kind of adopted by, this group of young ladies that were all, sophomores and juniors.
Yeah.
And we were very blessed to have just an amazing high school coach, like a life changer kind of
And
guy.
that
Probably how
really-
you look at like Chet.
Yeah.
Like Michael Walsh to me is that guy that will always.
It shaped your running experience. It made
shaped
you
my
love
life.
it.
My absolute everything in my life, like from a running standpoint, can really get traced back.
What was it, since this is called the Empower Hour, it
Yeah.
sounds like he empowered you.
He really
in a way.
did.
What did he do exactly?
It was just home. Like it was one of those things that like really, kind of digging in. He was like another father to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it meant so much that he trusted me, that he cared about me. And I completely understood like where I fit in the team, but that I knew he really, really cared about me. And there's so many of us that felt that way. And he was always on the cutting edge. We always said he should have been a college coach, because his knowledge level was just extraordinary.
Way above par.
Yeah. And we knew we were the best trained around. Like maybe we had, some super, kid decisions every now and again, but we knew that what he was doing was right for us. And I knew he loved me. I knew he cared about me.
And see, that's what every athlete I think
Yeah.
wants, is to know that.
Yeah, and
whoever
I think that's why it really bit so hard. And some of those girls, I remember being a freshman or so, and they're like Garrison, because we had, including my head coach, whose name was Michael. There were 6 other guys on the team, all named Mike or Michael.
Oh gosh.
So we all went by last names. That was just it. And I remember the girls saying, Garrison, you're gonna grow up and you're gonna be just like Walsh.
And you kind of are.
And I was just like, and at the time it was like, no, like I didn't say no. I was like, oh, that was really cool. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
But like people were kind of making fun of it, and I was like, oh. And the great part about it was the guy like lived in Patagonia baggies
Oh my
and Aloha shirts. Like when we traveled, the men's team, we all wore Aloha shirts.
And
in
now
high
you're
school.
here in Hawaii.
So now I live in Hawaii, and yes, I have Patagonia board shorts on.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, and he really helped shape who I am today.
And you can see that like transfers over to your life now, because you were saying you coached some Olympians actually.
They eventually went on to be Olympians.
Yeah.
We had Kristen Worth, who's now Kristen Worth Thomas, and Amy Yoder Begley at Arkansas when I was there. Just 2 wonderful young women, 2 of many that we had there that were just absolutely outstanding.
And you were telling me that you would actually jump in and do workouts with
Yeah,
them.
I turned into the de facto, punching bag when they needed somebody.
Which is awesome, because I know I would always I'd be like, I wish my coaches would get in here and lift with me or do my workouts with me and know what it's like.
Yeah,
because-
well, most of them do. There's just a whole lot of extra, the little things that nobody tells you about being a cross country or being a college coach.
Right.
Like when you're young and you go, oh, I want to be a college coach, It's
Recruiting and the
it's-
paperwork. And
yeah,
Yeah.
all those things that you never think. Like I had the dream when I started college coaching, like, oh, I'm going to have kids and they're going to grow up in the long jump pit and the pole vault pit.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be hanging out at the track all day and, working with athletes, and it's
Yeah.
going to be really fun. And yes, that's the best, like, 2 hours of the day.
'Cause
Unfortunately,
everything
it's
else-
a 24/7,
Yeah, it's busy.
365 profession.
Yeah.
Like, we actually had recruits that, like, wanted recruiting calls on Christmas. It's a completely different,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
like you're doing Thanksgiving calls, you're doing Christmas Day calls, because somebody's going to call them, and you have to show them all the love.
Yeah.
And at some point, you need to be able to draw a line, like, hey, I need
some family time.
Yeah,
I need some me time.
yeah.
Right. I think even as an athlete, you experience that. I know I did.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I
But
mean,
there's
'cause
so
we would
many.
have to eat with the team for Thanksgiving, and sometimes I was just like, I want to go eat with my family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you're a fall sport athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's turned into something a little bit different. Yeah, the NCAA cross-country championships are always the Monday before Thanksgiving.
Oh my.
So, you travel to wherever, like, I think recently they've been held in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Okay.
And then, everybody kind of gets home and then goes their different ways, except the coaches are,
Still working.
Yeah, you're still working because, you have major high school championships, whether it's state meets or national/regional championships, that you're on a plane to go recruit. And, yeah, it doesn't stop, that's for sure.
Do you have like a specific moment that you'll never forget from coaching or?
Oh, wow. I think the big one from coaching, I kind of figured this was going to come from an athlete side. The coaching side.
And I'll ask you from an athlete
yeah,
too.
The coaching side, I'd have to say the first one that comes to mind is when Amy Yoder won the NCAA title indoors at home. I think it was 2000. And she broke away from an incredible field with about 300 meters to go.
Oh my gosh.
And
what was she running?
5,000 meters.
Okay.
Ran, I think, just under 16 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I think it was 15, if I remember, it was about 15:48, 15:49. And she executed perfectly. It was the first time the indoor championships were ever held in our new facility at Arkansas. So she became the first Arkansas athlete to win an
That's
NCAA
really
title in
exciting. I'm
Arkansas.
getting like shiver bumps
Yeah,
hearing
and
about
5,000
that.
people there.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Razorback fans are rabid. They love track and field. They love the Hogs. And the place went, like, as soon as she took off with 300 to go.
Everybody was like,
the
yeah.
place, everybody stood up. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps
I
thinking
am
about
too.
it as well. But yeah, Amy just completely executed and just
How do
nailed
you
it.
prepare like your athletes or like yourself mentally?
It's basically practice. Working with the athlete, it's trying to eliminate all the distractions and making sure when we're on plan, say building to something like the NCAA championships, or if you're building to your first marathon or whatever those things are, try to eliminate what those distractions are first off, and go through in workouts and in practice the things that are going to be hiccups or bumps along the way during your race.
Okay, so it's kind of like trying to
rehearsal-
eliminate the fear.
Yeah,
anything
oh yeah.
you're fearful of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And really trying to get people stronger physically. Like, I've worked with athletes that mentally they'd kind of check out after short
period
periods
of
of time. And then at that point, your strategy is get them as physically fit as you possibly can in the amount of time that you have. So then you're kind of delaying that so far out in the race
Okay.
that by the time they're getting to that point where they're like, oh my gosh, I'm way over my head.
Right.
Well, the finish line is
Right
800 meters
there.
away, and they're like, oh, I got this.
And for you, is that how you train as well mentally?
For me, the mental part for me is I really like to
You just like to
relax.
run.
I do. I really like running. I'm really competitive. But it got to the point a few years back where I just wasn't having fun doing it.
And when
Like,
you're
I
not
was-
having fun, it's time to
Yeah.
stop or take a break.
Yeah, and I was holding myself to a standard that I wasn't able to attain, and I wasn't making good decisions all the time. And my wife just kind of pulled me aside at one of these races, and she's like, hey, you know what? You're choosing to do this.
Right.
Like you sign up, you pay money to come out here and beat yourself up.
Right.
So you should just have fun and run happy. When you run happy,
You run well.
yeah, you run really
It's
well,
really
and this is a
true.
really neat experience. And ever since then, like, when I race a lot on the mainland and jump on a lot of flights, and every one of them, if she can make it right before the race, it's like, hey, just run happy. If it's
Oh, that's
the phone
cute.
call the night before, the text message, it's, hey, run happy.
Oh, that's really cute.
And she's been, an amazing coach for me in that sense. Like, she really has kind of leveled me out, and now I go into races with a little bit different
Yeah.
mindset.
More
and it's-
more relaxed.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
at
I
the end
know,
of the
I
day,
know I
it's
train
just a
hard
race.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's one of my favorite things about running is there's always another race.
There is.
Yeah, and that's.
And you can always race against yourself too. You can wake up the next morning and be like, let's go.
I can, yes. Well, some moments just, like some things like the hurt, that's
No.
yeah, that's brutal. But it's, hopefully this 2016 will be the year that I can get that one finished and knock that out. But
what's your most memorable moment as an athlete now?
as an athlete, it comes down to two things. Like one was, when I really realized that I can run fast as an ultramarathoner. It was my first 100-mile race. I'd thrown a bunch of pressure on myself, which was probably not the smartest thing. Just kind of said, hey, I'm gonna, like prior to that I'd run, I think 1 or 2 50Ks and a 50-miler. And again, one of my favorite phrases that my wife uses is, fake it till you make it.
Yep. Oh, I love that one.
And we're like, well, maybe you should sign up for 100 miles, because that's kind of the thing. Like, to be an ultramarathoner, you've got to run 100 miles. And,
right.
You're pretty good or pretty special if you can run under in 24 hours. That's usually where it gets you the nicest little belt buckle.
And a quick question, when
Yes.
you're running for 24 hours, you don't sleep at all?
No.
You just go?
Yeah, you're just running. Yes, you're eating. Yes, you're drinking. And yes, you're hitting a nice, comfy bathroom if you can find it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and it's just a constant, and it depends on the course. Like, you're definitely doing some walking and things like that, but you're trying, obviously, get through it the best you can. And so we signed up for this 100-miler in Texas, and I was pretty fit. I was feeling really good, and I had some really high expectations. And it wasn't like Hawaii trails. It was all kind of rolling, and there were these 20-mile laps, and which is like the Hurt. The Hurt is 5 20-mile laps.
Okay.
So your crew and your friends and family can see you, more. You're just out running for 100 miles, and they kind of have to bounce to you. Like, you can see them, every, probably twice. You see them at the start finish, and then twice on the lap.
Okay.
And so I'm running pretty fast in a really good place, and I get through 57 miles. And I see my wife and my buddy who came out from Kansas City to help crew. And I see them at 57 miles, and I'm still cranking. I'm running fast, doing really well. And I leave the aid station, and I now have till 60 miles. I have 3 miles to get to where I'm going to see him again at the start-finish area. And the wheels just fall off, which apparently happens. It's kind of a normal thing in ultramarathoning. Like, you hit bottoms, sometimes multiple bottoms.
Oh, man.
And the wheels just completely fall off. It's middle of the night. It's dark.
Before we get into this,
yes,
we're going to go to a commercial.
Not a problem.
This is intense. The wheels came off. We want to hear about that. I do. I'm like getting lost in the story. I'm so excited. This is the Empower Hour. I'm here with Michael Garrison. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino, and we will be back in a few.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Okay, I'm Jay Fidel, that's Ray Starling. We co-host a show called Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. It's really interesting. Ray has a way of unzipping these guys. He asks them these questions, and all this stuff tumbles out, and we find out stuff we would never know about without Ray's questions. Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome, Jay. I'm very pleased to be your Ed McMahon every Wednesday at 4 o'clock here on the internet. So you can join us and see what's happening in the energy world, and there is a lot going on. So join us every Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, come around, be energized right here on ThinkTech. Aloha.
Sorry.
That's all right.
We're back. We're still talking in here. We have so much to talk about. I'm having a great time.
The camera's just back on now.
I know. This is the Empower Hour. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I'm here with Michael Garrison. We are talking about one of his monumental experiences or moments that he recalls. He has another one about the Hurt 100 that we were semi-talking about, but we'll finish this one in Texas.
Yeah, so the wheels are off, and now for the first time in the race, I'm walking, and it's just dark. It's, middle of nowhere, and I just feel awful.
Awful in what way?
just body is exhausted. Mentally, I checked out. Like everything just everything that felt like it could go wrong.
Went wrong.
And all of my time goals now, I had really lofty time goals. Those are out the door. You know, I didn't go in with probably a proper mindset of, hey, I should just try to finish 100 miles. Like I'd run a 50 miler before. So everything past 50 miles
was new to you.
Was brand new. It was a PR. Every step was a PR,
right.
Which was great. But
which we need to think like that more, huh?
It
Rather
would
than
probably
saying
help.
everything that we do is wrong. Because in bodybuilding, I get that all the time. It's like, Miley, you haven't lost weight this week. Miley, you haven't gained any muscle. And I'm always like thinking of like the bad things rather than just being like, hey, I went to the gym or.
Yeah, working off the positive is incredibly, empowering.
It's empowering.
It really is, yeah. So I come into the aid station at 60, and I walk in, and it's dark, and they had a tent area set up where we could all eat, and we had drop bags and things like that. And I saw Pauline and my buddy Tracy, and they were waiting, and they'd fill it, my bladder, bladder fill was, at that point, it was still a secret drink mix. I don't even think Scratch Labs was formed yet.
Okay.
And, they grabbed that from me, and I grabbed my little bag I was going to probably change my shorts or something. And I just grabbed the bag from them, and I went back into the area where nobody was allowed but the athletes. So I couldn't talk to them. And I just sat there with my head in my hands, just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So we had launched the Run with Garrison blog that week.
Okay.
And shot it out to everybody we knew, basically to help follow along during the race.
I saw that. That's the one that I read.
Yes, and so I put a ton of external pressure on myself. Like all these people that I hadn't really been in contact with for a while, like, hey, I'm gonna go run 100 miles.
Right.
Like very much in looking back on like a look at me.
Right.
Really bad decision. So then I'm, head in my hands, probably crying at this point, and just like, oh my God, I'm gonna let all of these people down. Because they're texting my wife. So every time I see her at an aid station, she's like, oh, hey, so-and-so just said this. And, they're following along because she's posting where I am every time. So I'm getting all these like really wonderful, emotional, uplifting messages from people. And now the wheels are off and I'm not going to be able to finish. And this is just awful. And I said, okay, well, I got to keep moving. So, I stand up, I walk back, I hand the bag to Pauline, and then, I get my little bladder backpack back from him, I get it on, and I just start walking out the aid station. And I'm going to see them now at 63 miles. And I'm just kind of walking, and I'm still really upset. And I was like, well, I just got to keep moving because I at least need to walk.
Right.
And at about 62 miles, I started kind of doing some math. And I figured out, oh my God, I can still run like 21 hours, which is still really, really fast.
Good.
I was like, despite all of that, if I just get back on it, I'm going to be just fine.
And it kind of shows you that sometimes we're not rational because of emotion.
Yeah, and as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, and I right on that trail, I just was like, oh, okay. And I just started running again. And I came running into the aid station, and that was the aid station where we were talking about, doing, things you got to do during a long race.
Right.
Coincidentally, that was the best place on the race course to go. It was like a little mini ranger station that had a really clean bathroom. It was awesome. And I came running through at 63 miles, and I looked at Pauline and Tracy, and I go, I got this. I got a plan. We're all good. Hold on one second. Then I ran around, used the lube, came back, and I just said, I got this. Like, we're good. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And they were just like,
yeah.
Well, okay. And then I went on and I ran like 21:18 or something like that.
Which is amazing.
And I ran really well, and that experience was, it was hard. My body was really beat up afterwards, but that was, so from a kind of a high and also learning a lot about myself, that was a great experience.
Changing your reality and shifting your mind point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the mind plays a big part on it.
Now the sad one,
okay,
which the Hurt 100, obviously here on Oahu, is one of the toughest races on the planet. And it's 5 laps up in the Tantalus Makiki trails there.
Okay.
5,000 feet of climbing every lap, so about 25,000 feet of elevation gain over 100 miles. The terrain is really nasty. It's really tough. Yeah, it definitely hurts. Yeah, it's brutal. And I was having some pretty bad GI issues, and had a great team, support crew. Everybody out there was awesome, but I just kind of kept falling behind. And there's time cuts that you have to make
in order to continue on.
Yes. And we started getting dangerously close as the race went later and later and later to hitting these time cuts. I have buddies pacing me, and we're, it got to the point where it was like a full-on NASCAR pit stop because we were coming in such a panic to beat the time cut that we're sprinting down these long hills.
Right.
And coming in like a wreck. And my wife will tell you, if I'm sitting in an aid station, I'm kind of just leaning. She's like, if he's leaning, he's in trouble.
Oh no.
And not like a health risk, just like things are getting really rough. If he's just sitting there and he's leaning while people are kind of taking care of him. And I'd come booking into the aid stations, and Pauline and we had just an amazing crew. We basically come in and just what I need, like they're throwing food down me, drink, changing out sock, whatever I needed. And then it's like, okay, you got to go. You got to try to get to the next aid station before this time cut.
Right.
So we're now 33 hours in, and I need to get to the 92.5 mile mark.
Which is right there.
Which is so close to finish. It's the last aid station before the finish. I need to get there by 33 and a half hours. And we come down off of New Iwana Trail. We get on a Judd Trail. We know it's going to be really close. My buddy Jeff is pacing me, and he's like, we got to go, we got to go, we got to go. And I heard him, and I knew it, and I was going as fast as I possibly could. And as I thought, like, looking back on it, I probably should have, swallowed a little harder and bit my tongue. And
it always seems like that way, though,
yeah,
once you
it
get
was
out
rough.
of it. But
yeah. So I crossed the stream down there at the bottom, and as I'm coming up to the aid station, the horn goes, and I'm out of the race at 33 hours, 31 minutes, and I think 40-something seconds, and had to stop. And I still ran all the way into the aid station. Everybody there was just floored. There was not a dry eye in the house. My entire crew, family, everybody's around, and nobody even molested. They're just like, getting kind of, emotional, and they're all walking off to the side, and I'm just kind of sitting there, head in my hands, just like, oh my God, it got away from me, and everybody's just kind of off, and that was hard. So now it's 2016. There's a lottery to get in the race. It's really popular, so hopefully
you'll get in there.
I get in. I've got some training buddies that are absolutely amazing. There's I think 4 of us right now in our little tribe, that Hawaii Running Lab tribe, that are hoping to get into the hurt, and if whoever doesn't get in, I'm sure is going to be pacing and crewing and supporting. But
I want to be there too.
Yep,
Count me in.
Yep, you're
I'm
in.
going to come watch.
Yeah, we need a big, it's a race like no other. The athletes, the volunteers, the staff.
It takes a lot of heart.
It does, but it's really, to me, it's a quintessential Hawaiian experience because it's very family. It's very supportive. There's so much love and adoration from everybody. And it's what people come from all over the world for this race, and nobody's a stranger.
Right.
And it's really just a neat experience. And I came, we obviously got back in the car after the non-finish and drove to the finish line. And people that I knew, but I wouldn't say I'm friends with or buddies with.
They're still supportive and they still say
but
something.
they were like keeping up with me online. Like they'd finished the race hours prior, gone home, showered, went to bed, had some food, but we're still checking their cell phone every couple hours to see where I was on the course.
And that's something that's really important about the running community here, is that they do that. Everybody is really supportive.
Yeah.
And I've always appreciated that. I mean, I'm not really in the running community anymore. I need to get back in it. But when I did run in high school, oh my gosh, everybody's always there. They find out who people are. They're always supportive.
Yes, they are.
They'll come up and they'll be like, hey, that was awesome, or hey, let me help you and give you a pointer. I remember high school, I'd have other coaches, telling me, Maile, if you want to beat this girl, it's my girl, but speed up.
Yeah,
like,
these are the way you're going to get it done.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's great.
Yeah, this is a really special place. And so those were kind of the 2 memorable moments that I had for you there.
Well, I really enjoyed those.
Yeah.
Those were good ones. We're almost out of time, but I want you to tell us about your company really quickly.
Yes, absolutely. So we just
really
started,
important.
the Hawaii Running Lab. So that's going to be, what we want to do is bring individualized coaching to Oahu and the world where it's possible. Obviously, we'll do some online stuff. I'll primarily be setting up programs for people online with a communication level of, we have a couple different packages. The most popular one is really going to be unlimited communication with me, whether that's via Skype, phone, email, text. I think we have a joke on the website, and carrier pigeon. We really, because I want to give a high level experience to everybody that just wants to run and have a good time.
Right.
I really have I don't care if it's your first 5K or
See,
you're
and
training
that's
for the herd.
awesome.
Like, to me, it's really important just to be out there and be active and have fun and set goals and achieve those goals and
Setting
just kind
goals
of
is
grow.
so important. It's so
Yeah.
important to your self-growth and your self-worth. And
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I think that's one of my strengths as a coach is I just have this ability to really connect with people and try to figure out, hey, what's going to work for you?
And that's what a lot of coaches miss out on, and that's what
Yeah.
a lot of people need.
Yeah, and so I think that's trying to bring that to Oahu. There's a lot of great training groups. I'd be fully supportive of all of them.
Right.
I just, I want to make sure that people are getting what they need. As a matter of fact, I'm working with Chet.
Oh.
With part of his, I'm going to be the group leader for his fast marathon group.
Okay.
Heading into Honolulu Marathon. So we're working together on that project.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I'll still be coaching individuals, basically starting now. We're already starting to get clients just through word of mouth without even a live website
Yeah, because
yet.
people want that. They want help with their form and their
Yeah.
gait and, what to eat. And I'm
They
having this
do.
problem. What do I do?
Yeah, and structure. I think that's really the important
Structure's
thing.
so important. And
Yeah.
I know I look for that, like, in
Yeah.
training. And when I don't get it, I kind of, I think I get upset a little bit because I'm like, I'm putting so much effort and energy into this, and you're not here with me.
Yeah.
So to get that from a coach,
It's huge.
it's a really big deal.
And I want to try to take the difficulty out of it for a lot of people. And okay, hey, here's your week. This is what you're going to do.
Because then they can just focus on the running.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about
Yeah.
anything else. It's just, I'm going to go out there and run.
Yeah, and figure out where it fits in their work life
Right.
and their home life. Okay, hey, okay, you can only run 4 days a week. Okay, great, because, work, kids, spouse, life,
You have enough
whatever it
going
is.
on.
Yeah, how can we figure out, okay, you have 4 days that we've identified that you can get some good training on. Okay, how can we do this in 4 days? Or if you have 6 days, or whatever those things are, everybody's going to be different. So let's make sure we can get, the best for you.
And that's so awesome. You guys are going to do amazing.
I
I'm
hope so.
sure.
It'd be really fun. It's been a fun journey setting this thing up, and I'm really excited to get it going.
And your website's going to launch soon, correct?
Yeah, we're hoping for about 7 to 10 days from now. We're going to go sit with our final developer, and we've got a killer logo. Everything. We're real excited, and that again has been a family effort. Like, we have friends from all over the place that are just like, hey, how can I help?
Oh, that's awesome.
What do you need? It's like, okay, and I think we're really onto something here, so we're excited.
So what is something empowering that you can offer to our viewers?
I
What
think
is one thing you'd like to leave with everybody with?
Set reasonable and achievable goals. And I think, if you can't do it for yourself, find somebody around you that can be objective and intelligent about it to help identify those goals. Once you get those goals and they're realistic, whatever that is in life, like obviously I'm a running coach, but I'd probably do pretty well as a life coach as well.
Oh, I think so.
So let's figure out, okay, what are those things? If it's, hey, do you want to run the Xterra Trail Championships in December? It's a half marathon on some pretty nasty trails at Kualoa Ranch. Okay, well that's been a big, that's something you want to do. Okay, well, right now it's May 29th. So we've got 5.5, 6 months to get ready for this. Okay, so let's work backwards. Let's figure out some of our, short-term, medium-term, and if that's our long-range goal, let's work backwards and turn it into little edible bites and knock it out of the park.
Love it.
So that's
Goal crusher.
Yes.
I have to thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Garrison, for coming.
I can't believe this. Oh my
I
gosh,
know,
that went so
it went
fast.
quickly. I told you it goes
Yes.
quickly. People get nervous, and then I'm like, it's 45 minutes. It goes by pretty fast.
Yes,
So, anyways.
absolutely.
That's it, guys. Have a wonderful Aloha Friday. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. This is the Empower Hour, and again, I was here with Michael Garrison, and thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next time.